and I didn't work out once. I'm 60 now, and I never do cardio. I hate cardio. I eat like a pig, and I smoke. So there you go. Everything's still pretty good.
Over a year ago, I made a video called I Worked Out Like Rick Owens. I basically did a deep dive into all the articles and videos where he's talked about how he works out and what he does. I compiled everything into a single document that you can get below for free, by the way. I saw a dude on TikTok who's like a, in the model like type niche. He basically said he like stole the Rick Owens Workout Split and then he was selling it for like 25 bucks. And I respect the hustle, but I thought that it was kind of funny because coming back to this after a little more time in the gym, I don't think this workout is a great way to actually achieve his look. He's looked like this for years, so it's really, I said this in the last video, but it's really a maintenance physique. It really does look like a maintenance build, and you're gonna need to work out a little harder than he probably does in order to get here in the first place. I want to go back through the document and give my take on it with the new knowledge that I have. Maybe set up a new workout split, recommend some different exercises, and yeah, let's get into it. One other thing, I want to show some comparison physique pictures from when I made the original video to now, so I'm not just like full of shit. I have made progress in the last year and a half, whatever, so I'm gonna throw those up. So yeah, I think the biggest thing, I would say like I'm probably smaller than I was in that video weight wise. I've gotten rid of a lot of fat and got a couple more tattoos and whatnot, but I think I have no pump right now either, which is kind of showing physique on camera without a pump, dude. It's kind of fucked up. But this is the side. I don't usually pose on this side, so it's going to look kind of weird. Let's try this side. I don't think the lighting's really working. I think I definitely did that pose in that video. And I think I did some shit like this. Just try and show the shoulders. I've been pretty locked in since the new year, honestly. And this like V-line is pretty important for the Rick physique. So the trick is really just to stay as lean as you can. Put on a little bit of muscle for most of y'all. I'm still a good bit bigger than he is, which is fine. I'd like to be a bit leaner. It's just the leaner you get, the harder it is to stay lean. And your energy levels and just all that shit just starts to die. So I would say I'm probably around 12% body fat right now, maybe 13. But once you get down to 10, Rick's definitely sub 10. So I'm not going to go back through all the research or anything. If you want to see that, you can check out the first video. So we're just going to get straight into the what we know. Rick works out 5 to 6 times a week for about an hour. I think for most people, 5 to 6 times a week is probably a little much. Depending on what's going on and what other activities I'm doing, I will work out 6, 7, 8 times in a row, but it's pretty clear that that's not the best for you. If you're like me and you enjoy working out, then it becomes a form of recreation rather than exclusively exercise, I guess. I would recommend working out less than he does, actually. And then with his split where he hits one leg part, 2 upper parts, abs, and stretches for each workout, it seems like a lot to pack into an hour, honestly, but I think you can do it if you stay locked in. I don't think the split itself is great. I wouldn't say it's bad or anything. It's just kind of weird. And then he has the 3 different days. I like this. It's good to vary your workouts and to vary the muscles that you're hitting on each day. Rick hates cardio. I said this in the first video, but if you want to look lean like he does, like you need to do cardio. I would recommend a minimum of 10,000 steps a day. On top of that, any other cardio activity. For instance, I've been surfing a good bit, so even on days when I surf, I will still get 10,000 steps. Usually not workout, but maybe. You just want to be active. Like getting the actual 10,000 steps doesn't matter. It's just a good measure of how much activity you have. Because the more you move around, the more calories you burn, the more you can eat, the easier it is to lose weight. And something I didn't focus on last time, in my mind, I've always been a little bigger than Rick, so I made this from that perspective. But I'm sure there are skinnier people that also want to put on a little muscle and achieve this look. I'm gonna try and address it from both sides of that. In the first video, I thought it was cool to show all the gym equipment in his Paris home and then model each exercise based on that. But I think there are a lot of better exercises you can do. I don't know exactly exactly when Rick Owens made the home gym, but I would bet a lot of money he was working out at some kind of public gym for a long part of his lifting career. Just going to suggest my favorite exercises using common gym equipment and not just restricted to his exact setup. All right, so we have the first split, just calves, chest, triceps. I'm gonna change this. I have a new philosophy on working out abs. I'll get into that later. But yeah, calves, chest, triceps, hamstring, back, biceps, quad, shoulders. Yeah, we want the big shoulder day for sure. Recommended music. I have actually been cutting back on the caffeine. I know I've quit nicotine for the time being. Definitely a proponent of a bit of stimulant before going into the gym. If you look at studies, it actually helps you lift harder. But I think the pre-workouts versus just espresso caffeine pills. I saw one study that claimed basically beyond caffeine, all the stuff in pre-workouts really did not affect the amount that you could lift. I think a lot of it is a placebo. If you can take a pre-workout and it makes you feel good, it makes you feel like you can lift more, then you will lift more. If you're not really affected either way and you enjoy just a cup of coffee or caffeine pills, not a bad way to go. Anyway, so day one on the calves. I think there's one calf exercise that is better than all the others. The seated calf machine, I would recommend never getting on. They've shown in studies that it does not grow your calves as much as a standing calf raise. You don't get the same stretch. I would recommend get a plate or something and stand on it with your heels hanging off under a Smith machine. Barbell will be on your back, and then as you press up, you can come back down below the plane of your feet and you get a really good stretch at the bottom. And that's supersetted with a tibialis raise, which is like the opposite. You're raising your toes. This is more of a stretch, and I don't do this with weight, but I would just hammer the elevated calf raise. That's about all you can do. Like, calves are hard to grow. All right, so we got the incline chest press and the cable flies. Really not mad about that. I'm really bad at working out arms. I just feel like for triceps, you know, you're either pushing something down, and for biceps, like you're just curling shit. So I don't get super creative with my arm workouts. So I have two ab exercises I've been doing recently, and I've been getting good results. A lot of people say you shouldn't train your abs, you just need to get leaner. Very few people have an actual hypertrophy focused approach. What I mean by this is you see people doing hundreds of sit-ups, but who takes a 5-pound dumbbell and does 100 curls with the dumbbell to grow your bicep? Who takes the bar and does 100 bench presses in order to grow your chest? So in my mind, you should treat your abs like any other exercise and try and perform 8 to 12 reps, hypertrophy focused workout. Maybe that will stimulate some growth rather than, 50 sit-ups where you're just like throwing your body weight. I'll do a decline sit-up, so you get on a decline bench and you like hook your feet in, and then you go all the way back and forward. If you really focus on only using your abs rather than using momentum or hip flexors, you can tilt your legs out to disengage the hip flexors. I've gotten some great soreness, and that's what I would recommend. There's also the crunch machine. The one at my gym doesn't work well. I don't really use it, but it's got the bars up here. You want to be failing at like 8 to 10. You don't want to be able to do more than that. So for abs, I would recommend doing it maybe every other day, because they are hard to grow, so you have to give them sufficient stimulus to do that. They're used in every other exercise. You don't want to overdo it, but it takes a lot to overdo it, in my humble opinion. All right, moving on to day two. Day two is the hamstring day. I would recommend doing Romanian deadlifts. Deadlifting's not a bad option. We had dumbbell on here because that was the Rick Owens equipment that he had, but I've been doing them on a belt squat machine. If you don't have a belt squat, you can use dumbbells, barbells, whatever. If you have a belt squat machine, dude, like, you hook the close grip or the row machine onto it, and you can get the craziest stretch. One of my favorite leg exercises right now. It feels so good. 10 out of 10. Recommend. And then I have a hamstring curl machine. I've been doing the seated hamstring curls. Sometimes with the lying ones, I feel it in my lower back and my glutes, but the seated ones really lock you in. They get your hamstrings right. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that first, kind of as a warm-up. You would work it with sufficient intensity just to get your hamstrings really activated, and then when you go to the more compound Romanian deadlift, your hamstrings should be the first muscles to fail because they're already fatigued. So there's 6 days here, and you do back twice. I have the chest split for upper and lower chest, so you hit the 2 heads on your pec muscle. I want to split the back day for a horizontal and a vertical pull. So your horizontal pull is going to be your rows, which get your mid back, some rear delts, traps, kind of stuff like that. And then the vertical pull is going to mainly focus on your lats. And I think this is a good way to, say you're working out all 6 days in a row, hitting different angles can help recover a little bit. If you hit all horizontal exercises, when you get to do some vertical ones in a couple of days, you should be a little more recovered than if you're doing both on both days, if that makes sense. Because you've technically had a whole week since you hit the vertical pull. Your overall body will be a bit fatigued for sure. But so day 3, we got leg press and goblet squats. I'm just gonna say we're hitting quads. Like, you gotta throw a leg extension in there. Leg extensions are awesome. And then I would just do a hack squat or a barbell squat. I've been doing leg extensions first. Get the quads a little fatigued, and then you don't have to squat as much. It's not as strenuous on your back and hips. I've had a lot of problems over the years with squatting in general. I still do it, and I'm getting better at it. It's one of the only exercises that really just doesn't come natural to me. But yeah, getting those quads really activated and getting really warmed up has helped me. And then for shoulders, we got the overhead press, the face pulls. I've really just been hammering the overhead press on a Smith machine. One of my buddies that I work out with, he does the behind the head version, which I like. I have a bit of a rear delt injury, so it feels weird to do that. We'll just hammer the shoulder presses. I've been doing like this drop set where you put on like 45s, you'll hammer it like 8 to 10 reps till you fail, then immediately rip them off. Throw 35s on, just do as many till you fail. 25s, 10s, and then like all the way to the bar where you just like can't even lift the bar up. I think we've been getting some good results with that. I don't really know how to scientifically justify it, but you know, it gets a good pump and it's been fun. That basically gets a bit of all of the heads on the shoulder, especially if you're behind the head. It probably gets more. Rear delt's still neglected a bit, so I do some type of face pull or maybe a shoulder row. I was doing them in the first video actually. You lay on your legs and do a row with dumbbells. Love that exercise. My camera died, so I went ahead and made a whole new split and then just kind of wrote down a lot of the information that I talked about. Shameless promotion. I've actually been making these goofy, they're kind of like the Vetmont. I'm not even going to try and say it, but it's all with like remixed gym business logos. But I got one in the other day. This is the first one I made. It's like a knockoff of like the Lord's Gym vintage tee, and it just has a bunch of steroid inspired graphics on it. Got the bodyshaming.com, unathletic department, sharps disposal. So that's just kind of like a thing I've been doing to get my creative juices flowing. Anyway, so I went down here and I wrote down a lot of the stuff I was talking about. You're gonna want to be as lean as possible, 10,000 steps a day. I would go ahead and use an online calorie maintenance calculator to figure out what your approximate maintenance calories are, and then you can start to adjust your diet based on that. I use an app called Chronometer. It allows me to track all my macros and my calorie intake. If you really want to dial this in and get down to that really lean physique, I would encourage eating as many whole foods as you can. It'll just overall make you look better, make your skin and hair and everything just look better. And then you can monitor your progress through like weighing traditionally or taking a picture of yourself every day. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much you weigh if you look the right way. The key is just to not get caught up in the day-to-day. Like, check your week-to-week pictures or your month-to-month pictures. Make sure you're making that progress. Patience is absolutely key. It's a lifelong pursuit to try and gain and maintain an impressive physique, so you don't have to look like this tomorrow. Like, at the same time, the more you cheat, the more you fuck up, the longer it is going to take. So I have like a big back ass appetite, and something that's really helped me try to cut down on calories and not just be miserable is intermittent fasting. Right now I'm basically eat in the morning around 10 a.m. and then I cut it off at 6 p.m. at night, so it's an 8-hour window, and then you fast from 6 to the next 10 a.m. It helps me sleep better. I'm not hungry all the time, and I basically can eat whatever I want, not like junk food wise, but quantity wise, if that makes sense. And I can house, around 2,500 to 3K calories, and it just feels like I'm eating like the whole day because it's constrained to that one window. Also, drink a ton of water. The more water you drink, the less you hold on to, because it just like circulates circulates and your body doesn't feel in danger of not having access to water. So you'll be pissing all the time, but it'll make you look less bloated. And then depending on your goals, you can start to adjust your electrolyte intake. Potassium causes you to release water. Sodium causes you to keep water in. So a lot of gym guys will eat a lot of sodium before going to the gym to get a good pump. But to look skinnier, you can eat a lot of potassium. So you got the same workout split. Like I said earlier, not limiting the exercises to Rick's home gym setup. We can use whatever we have access to in the gym. And then I put this note about the strength training versus hypertrophy. Strength refers to how much you can lift. Hypertrophy is the size of your muscles. There is a difference in the way you train to optimize for each. Basically, you want to look at yourself, and if you think you're need to be bigger to look like Rick, you're going to want to train for hypertrophy. And if you think you need to be smaller to look like Rick, I would encourage strength type training, I guess. You're going to be cutting at the same time, so it'd be hard to go up in strength. Your muscles won't grow. They might get a more mature look from continuing to lift the weights. And I put just a brief note about how to do that. In general, with hypertrophy training, or have more rest days, the strength training, you kind of want to lift it as often as possible. Personally, I prioritize hypertrophy and strength for different muscles. So say my shoulders are too small, I'm going to do hypertrophy, and my legs are pretty big, like I might do a strength training workout. I don't know if there's any science to back that up, but that's just kind of how I train. I don't see how it's that crazy to think it would work. So day one, we got the calves, chest, triceps, abs stretch. Like I said, elevated heel calf raises. That's going to be your go-to. And the tib raises. Then an incline chest press with dumbbells. Like, you can't go wrong. And cable flies. I like the cable because you can adjust the angle to make the cables lower on the ground, so you can lift up, get the upper chest in there. And then for triceps, I'm going to do a tricep push down and then finish off with dips, and try and really focus your triceps rather than your chest on the dips. So you'll get a little bit of both in there. And then I put the decline sit up in for the abs. And as far as stretch goes, I think whatever you need. The stretches are more tailored for me toward legs. I've been doing some of this knees over toes training to try and just get my knees and hips really, really strong and able to handle all the stuff that I want to do. Incorporate some of that in later. Yeah, day two, hamstring curl machine and the RDL on the belt squat if you have one. If not, just barbell, dumbbell, whatever you want to do. Back is going to be a horizontal back day with a dumbbell row. I've really been loving these one arm rows. I felt a little imbalanced. My right side was a little bigger than my left, so I've started my workouts by doing one arm rows, and then I feel like my whole back is more activated when I get into the barbell rows or the pull-ups or whatever. Biceps, like I said, just curl of your choice and really focus on getting that bicep, and then immediately after you can hit chin-ups and just once again really focus the bicep. The stretch, I'm going to say split squats. Try and get it as low as you can. Stretch the hips. Literally try and touch your ass to your heel. You can elevate your front foot if that's hard at first. And then body weight squat holds. I think some of this really just promotes like being active, and that will help you to achieve a leaner physique. I think being mobile and kind of athletic could add to, how Rick looks. He's lived in Europe for a while, so I'm sure he walks a lot. So just staying active, staying moving, I don't think any of that could hurt. Day three, we have the quad, shoulders, and abs. For quads, I'm going to say leg extensions. Get the quads real warm, get them kind of fatigued, and then go into your barbell or your hack squat, just depending on how comfortable you are with barbell squatting. Hack squats, you target the quads a little more directly. You can't go wrong with a barbell squat. It's just the king of the exercises. And then I got the overhead press on the Smith machine with lateral raises, and then either a face pull or a shoulder row. Get all three heads, try and get those boulders going. The backward sleds and backward treadmill. Whenever I squat or do any leg intensive exercise, I like to walk backwards. Gets my knees really warmed up. If you think about it, it's almost like a leg extension. You're getting your quads really activated. I would recommend doing all these stretches before the leg exercises. I know they're at the bottom, so it's kind of confusing. And then you basically repeat the calves, like I said, the one and done elevated heel raise. That's the one. For chest, you could do a lower pec day. If you've been in the gym for a while, it probably wouldn't hurt just to do 2 upper days. I would recommend just a bench press with dumbbells probably. I said barbell if you're with friends, just because it's kind of fun to go in and bench with your friends. And then I'll say a fly machine because it gets you that middle squeeze instead of doing the upper. And you could do a cable and hit the lower chest. And then for triceps, just another push down. And then I said you could do a one arm extension. Sometimes I like to do the push downs, really hammer those, and then just finish off hitting some one arms just to really get that squeeze. Hamstrings the same. You got a vertical back day, so it's going to be lat pull downs one arm at a time. Like I said, just to get everything activated, and then do the pull-ups. You know, once you get stronger, you can start to add weight to your pull-ups, and it's pretty intense lift. And once again, curl, chin-ups, can't go wrong with that. Same stretches. Day 6, I don't think it's smart to squat twice in a week. It's a really intense exercise. I think it's just probably overall gonna hurt you more than it can help you. I'm gonna say just do some sleds, pushing and pulling sleds with weight, and farmer's carries, kind of some like active strength training, and then basically the same thing on shoulders. I throw in a shrug. It's not really necessary, but I think it can give you a little more separation between your shoulders and your back just to look a little more mature. I need to get rid of this. But yeah, just the same two ab exercises. Day 6, active recovery on the legs and smash your fucking shoulders. So I'm not actually going to go to the gym and do this workout for you. I know I did in the last video, but I don't mind throwing a clip or two of the gym in every now and then, but filming in the gym is not for me. I can personally never find the focus that I want on days when I'm trying to film. That about wraps it up. Thanks for following along. Rick Owens Workout Part 2. Like I said, all of this is free. Link is below. Just enter your email. Final thoughts. I would just encourage you to do your research. I mentioned this in the first video. He really focuses on the connection, the feeling, how it feels in the muscle when you're lifting, rather than, you know, how much weight, how many reps. Once you get to the level where you have that mind muscle connection, it really is important. Try it out, do your own research, find out what works for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them at the bottom. I'll go through and I'll answer comments. So have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and stay safe out there on those icy roads. Take care.